Welcome, Caroline.
Hey, cheers.
Cheers. All right. So, do you want to start by telling me a little about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. My name is Carolyn, but most people don't call me that. They just call me Caro because, you know, it's just something everybody's done for like all of my life. This is my real hair color, by the way. It's really white because I'm old. Um, I've been a comic book fan for, oh God, I think I was 7 or 8 the first time I saw Superman in the 70s. Yeah. So, and
Do the math, people.
I was hooked from the first time I saw, you know, Superman flying on screen. It was just the most magical, exciting thing. Um, I mostly grew up reading Spider Man, and then I discovered Lois and Clark, and then I discovered Batman, and now I'm mostly a Batman fan, but I have a very special place in my heart for Superman. So which is why we're going to talk about Superman today. Can you get yeah,
Yes.
Superman?
And that
Because
was Superman the movie in the 70s that
yeah,
captured your imagination, right?
yeah, the very first one.
Oh,
I
the
I
Reeve
think I
one.
saw a rerun of that on TV because I think I was too young to see it in the movies. But the second one I did see in theaters. The second Superman movie was I think I was like 12 or 13, and I saw it in theaters twice in the same week.
That's
That was Superman 2, and I was like, oh my God. And he was sleeping with Lois Lane, and it was like I was 13, right?
scandalous.
Yes. It was just the most awesome thing. It's like, oh, I'm in love, whatever.
Was it like puberty right there?
Totally. And I was like true love and stuff. And it's like, oh, and he was perfect and he was wonderful. And Christopher Reeve as Superman is just,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then Dean Cain is Superman, of course.
Yeah, but Dean Cain as Clark Kent.
Right.
Superman, he's okay as Superman,
True.
but he's like the most amazing Clark Kent.
Oh my
He,
God. Clark Kent. He made Clark Kent. I mean, like before that, I feel like Clark Kent, everyone was like, Clark Kent. And
well,
then,
yeah, because for pretty much every other series up until then, Clark was the disguise. Whereas in Lois and Clark, Clark is the person and Superman is the disguise, which kind of, to me, makes a lot of sense.
I agree.
But, I mean, it makes sense both ways, but I kind of like the idea, like in this one, he's I like the idea of how they bring on that Clark is his disguise, because they did it well. They did it in a way that was like interesting, and he was this guy who was, like he was a reporter. He was like in Africa or somewhere, I think Africa, and and so like he's a reporter and stuff, and but he's not pretending to be anybody else at that point, which he's still just Clark Kent, but then he kind of becomes a different Clark Kent because he needs to, and they explain it in a way that kind of really makes sense, whereas in other cases it's like, well, like the first Superman movie, he kind of goes away to the Arctic, and then suddenly like he's there for like almost 10 years or something ridiculous,
I think it's
and then he
like,
comes back, and his true personality suddenly is Superman. But it's like, yeah, but he grew up being somebody else. How do you go from having spent, like, I don't know, 15, 18 years of your life, whatever, being a certain person, and then suddenly you're saying, no, this person doesn't exist anymore. This
right.
is who I really am, and I'm gonna pretend. I don't know. It depends how it's brought on, really. But
Like,
I'm
I mean,
like,
pretend to be a farce of the person that I grew up to be. That I grew
yes,
up.
yeah, yeah. It's like if they write it well, it's still they can still manage to make it make sense one way or another. But when they go in deep enough that there are reasons and you can see it, and and to me, things need to be logical a little bit because that's how my brain works. If there's a plot hole this big, I'm not. I can't. It doesn't. No, I don't want to know about it. I'll throw the thing away rather than go on reading it. So so
There's
like
only so
it.
much you can suspend disbelief. Like, yes, he can fly. Yes, he comes from Khan.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't go to the Arctic for 10 years to throw away his personality and become someone different.
This comic book, which I love, which
Yeah,
is one of many origin stories, but this one in a way is kind of my favorite
mine too.
because like there's a progression and stuff, and I love what they did with some of the characters. Like I love that his mom is like this UFO conspiracy theory fan kind of thing. I love that. I love that they gave her an actual like role and she's not just your typical 50s mom because that gets boring at some point, you know.
Mhm.
And I like that they did that with her. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that he knows Lex Luthor from when he was a kid because that's eh,
That was an
they treat it well.
it was a nod to Smallville. It was interesting. But
Yeah,
go on. I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, it kind of bothers me that when you make them friends and then suddenly there's this big kind of dilemma. Like in Birthright, he doesn't know whether or not he trusts Lex, and he's giving him the benefit of the doubt a lot,
Mhm.
which was also the case in Smallville, which kind of bothers me because I don't think Lex deserves to have the benefit of the doubt. I he's it's I mean from the start of what he does, it's kind of obvious to me that he's the bad guy. He's Jesus, he's really awful. And like he uses Kal-El's like origin to like try to take advantage of him in a sense, right? And it's just awful. And like I hate that Lex Luthor knows everything about the Kryptonians,
Yeah.
and Clark knows nothing. That's like, ugh. I, to me, if anybody was going to know everything about the Kryptonians before Clark, it'd be Batman. But that's that's
No,
just
that's true.
me. And he wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't use it against him. That's what I hate about this. It's like, well, it's a good way to have like it makes for a good story, but
Mhm.
it kind of bothers me that in this rendition of his origin story, he has no idea who he is, but Lex Luthor knows everything. It's like ugh, I'd rather he'd have learned a little bit more, like the way he did in the Superman movies with the the crystal and the palace and the stuff. I don't know. I like that. What do you think? Because I keep
No,
talking, it's not just me. I have a big mouth.
oh, no, nope, you're the guest. I love it. No, they did kind of dumb down Clark to ratchet up the drama, which makes sense, but no, I agree with you. It would have been nice for him to not be completely blindsided.
Yeah,
But
because like he trusts Lex, like really up to a point, but like there's a scene in which he's like arguing with Lois that no, Lex isn't a bad guy. I'm like, no, dude, like wake up. No, he is a bad guy. He's the worst guy.
Yeah. Though to some extent that speaks to his willingness to see the best in people, but it's like
Yeah.
to the point of blindness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm torn on it.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, it does like show this side of him where he'll start off thinking everybody is redeemable, everybody can be good, and nobody is bad. Like until proven otherwise, no one is bad. So that kind of like it does make it very Superman, but it's I don't know. I hate Lex like so much. I I like any other villain, you kind of don't like it, and it's like okay, you want Superman to win, but I would love for him to like obliterate Lex Luthor. Is how much I hate this character. As whereas there's some serious. I love a good bad guy. Like I absolutely adore a good bad guy. If he's written well, if he's like bad enough, but bad in ways that I guess make sense to me, or if it, like sometimes it's just because they're not written well. But I've seen some in series, like I mentioned them, but they're French in Quebec, so like, nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about. Um, but there's this one series where all their villains they're so good and you hate them and like you want them you want to you want to stab them you get stabbed and it's like you want them to die because you hate them so much but you love that you can hate them that way.
Oh my gosh. And now they just want to humanize all the fucking villains.
No, don't do that.
I mean, sometimes it makes for good stories, but sometimes I just want a good villain.
Yes. Good villains are cool.
I hate.
Yeah.
Let's give me someone that's just bad. Like, sometimes I just like it to be black and white, man.
Yeah.
I don't always want to feel sorry for the villain. I don't always want to,
No.
but are they really the hero? Are you trying to tell me that maybe the hero of the story is really the villain? I don't want to question that.
No. Oh hell no.
We get enough of that in real life. Like, can we just get less squirrel and comic book villains, people?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing was Lois in that comic.
She's really good.
That is my favorite Lois ever.
Yeah, she like that corresponds to the image of a strong female reporter, and she adheres to certain ideals, and she's not going to turn into a doormat. She doesn't go gaga or that much over Superman. I mean, everybody's attracted to Superman. I can't imagine, everybody's attracted to Superman,
Right?
but she's not like she's not like going crazy or like kind of like fainting like the girls at a Beatles concert or anything. She's not that kind of like weak. And she's smart and she gets it done, and I like that. That's like nice, strong, powerful female character. She's one of the best ones.
Oh, that version of Lois is just seriously, I think it's my favorite version of Lois across all versions of Lois ever. And
Yeah.
Lois is one of my favorite characters ever. So that is saying something.
Yeah.
Didn't she give him a pep talk when wasn't Clark ready to like just pack it up and like
Yes.
go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I love their interactions because it's kind of there's nice banter there, and there's nice kind of innuendos. Yeah, it's the writing in this comic is actually pretty good. It's not, I mean, you can see that there's really a story as opposed to we wanted to show this, so we made a story happen around this. This really told a story
right.
instead. Yeah. So you have like fun characters, and they gave like even Jimmy is interesting in this. Like they give everyone kind of an interesting like personality. Oh, and I love the part where I love where the part is like Chief, and the other one goes like, "Don't call me Chief." In every other series of Superman, everybody always calls him Chief, and I was like, "No, don't call me Chief!" Like in big bold letters, and it was that's just. Yep, fine, we won't. Perry. That was a nice little, instead of like having him go with Great Caesar's ghost or something or other.
Great Shades of Elvis.
Yeah. Oh, I love that one.
I know that's Lois and Clark thing, but oh god.
But I love that one. That one is just great. But like instead of like going back to that weird expression, this kind of ties him back to all the other versions of him, because they always call him Chief, but in this one it's like, "Don't call me Chief." I love that. I was like, it's perfect. Yeah.
Sorry, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, we don't really have a good end of the video yet. So
no, we don't. I think we do.
We don't. Okay, so is there anything else you want to say about the comic?
I mean, this is one, like, I'm more of a Batman fan than I am a Superman fan, really. I mean, despite everything. I have a Superman tattoo, but it's a Batman and Superman logo. It's not just Superman.
Are you willing to show it off?
I can't, because it's on my ankle. I can't show you that one. I can show you my Batman.
That is beautiful.
Okay,
well, if you send me the picture, I will splice it into the video.
Yeah, okay. I will send it to you. But Thank you. So I'm more of a Batman fan, really, and actually even then, I'm more of a Dick Grayson fan than any goddamn thing else. Dick to me is
we're gonna have to have you back for
worlds. Yeah, it's like I have like when
have you back for all the Dick jokes.
Yes, you can.
Please.
Yes, you can.
Please. It's gonna be like 30 minutes of Dick jokes and like maybe 10 minutes of comic talk.
That's awesome. But so I did like this Superman like comic. It's not one comic because I have it in the binded form. It's more than one story, it's more than one comic to make one story. I do like that one because it's being told in a way that, like, they tell a story where you can see the progression of the character, and I do like the art so much in this. It's like it's really, really well done, as opposed to some newer stuff that I sometimes have kind of issues with. This one is in all, like, in all regards, this comic for me scores like 5 stars. It's
Agreed.
It's one of the best ones.
Agreed. Cheers to that. Thank you for joining.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't know if I should show the brand of the thing. I don't even know if that's available in the US. But
that's okay. Anyway. That's okay. We can be international.
Well, I hope so, because you've been. So
yeah, that's okay. And Wisconsin is basically South Canada, so
we're America's hat.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much for joining me for the first.
So much fun.
Yes, it was. It was.
And now I'm really drunk.
I love it. I love it. But seriously, you're coming back for all the Dick jokes.
It will be my pleasure.
Yes! Yes, it will.
I'm always up for talking about Dick.
We're ending on that note. We are ending on that note.
Cool.